Hey everyone, I'm Jen, and I own a veterinary technician relief business.
And I'm Michelle. I own a veterinary technician mobile house call business.
And you are
And you are
listening
listening
to
to
Endless
Endless
Journeys,
Journeys,
the Vet
the
Tech
Vet Tech
Odyssey
Odyssey
podcast.
podcast.
In this podcast, we will be discussing and meeting with credentialed technicians who have created their own path with business ownership within the veterinary space.
Our goal is to help inspire burnt out vet techs before they leave the industry altogether through our stories and the stories of other vet tech business owners.
All right, before we jump into today's episode, we want to give a huge thank you to one of our sponsors, Action Vet Tech Services, or ABTS.
ABTS is an RVT-owned staffing, training, and consulting agency founded by Jacqueline Phillips RVT, based out of North Carolina with a nationwide reach supporting credentialed veterinary technicians.
What we really love about ABTS is that it was built for technicians. Their entire mission is focused on creating empowering and autonomous career paths for credentialed technicians, so RVTs, CVTs, LVTs, and even VTS specialists.
Their team includes about 30 to 45 professionals with a huge range of specialties, and many of them have been with ABTS for more than 3 years. It's a group that's really focused on leadership, education, supporting each other.
ABTS offers flexible relief staffing for clinics and hospitals, RACE-approved continuing education, customized in-house labs and trainings, and consulting for practices looking to improve workflow, compliance, and practice management.
They also create real pathways for technicians to grow into leadership roles, teaching opportunities, and long-term career development, which is something we talk about a lot on the show.
What really makes ABTS stand out is their RVT first owner-led model that prioritizes autonomy, professional growth, and building a strong community of credentialed technicians.
So if you're in a clinic looking for skilled veterinary technicians or a technician looking for new opportunities to grow your career,
be sure to check out Action Vet Tech Services and see how they're helping elevate technicians across the veterinary profession. All right, now let's get into our episode for today.
happy Monday.
Hi. Hello. Happy Monday.
Or Thursday. Bring in the Thursday, Friday Eve vibes on a Monday.
Yeah.
Today's Thursday, right? Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Today's Thursday.
Yeah. So Friday Eve vibes and a Monday morning. I can dig that. Yes.
How's your week been, Michelle?
Michelle's had a glass of wine, so it's been good. That's what type of week it's been. It's not been bad. Client-wise, it's been nice and quiet. That's always good. Nothing too strenuous one way or another. But our theme of the week, I want to talk about instead of my work week. I feel like I talk about my work week way too much. But what we're doing today for our show is planning your exit strategy, right? And then something happened within Vet Med that I was like, oh, this is perfect timing to talk about this. And Jen, and we talked about this earlier, you heard about the MWI Covetrus.
Yeah, I did hear about that merge.
Yes. What have you heard about it?
I just heard that Covetrus just bought out, or they bought MWI and then they were merging. And that was pretty much it. And then I've seen some things on LinkedIn. I saw some good comments. I saw bad comments. I saw lots of thoughts and opinions on whether this was a good thing for the vet industry, whether it's a bad thing. I take it all with a grain of salt, especially from the side when everyone's like, oh yes, corporates merging together. It's always a great thing and it's like, I don't see that. I don't understand it. I don't know too much about corporations. I never worked for a corporation before. You have. So I just, I don't personally see how it's a good thing for veterinary medicine. I feel like since corporates have become a thing in veterinary medicine, that's not really helped us as a whole.
No, it's not.
So yeah. And then as far as I know, Covetrus literally, so this is how clueless I am about both companies. Covetrus, from what I know, is they make syringes And MWI, it's an inventory store. That's where most people buy their inventory from. Am I wrong? Am I
You're
completely off
right.
base with that?
Nope, no, you're right on track. Okay, so
Okay.
Covetrus basically owns everything. Okay, they own veterinary software.
Okay.
They actually purchased out, I believe it was, if you're me and you probably remember these guys, Roadrunner, the compounding pharmacy from like way back in the day.
Yes. Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
so they own,
Really?
yeah, they own a little bit of everything. They also have their own brand of medications. My friend
Oh,
worked for them.
okay.
Yeah. So they like you could walk in any room in a vet clinic and see something that Covetrus has done, whether it's their software, their medication. They own a little piece of everything in our industry. But they don't own any clinics to my knowledge. So they're not like a VCA or a Mars, but they have everything else outside of it. But I don't think they own any food either, to what I understand. But
Okay.
like software and products. And they just keep on expanding what their basically their portfolios. Like they have a large portfolio of veterinary stuff. Yeah. I haven't studied them too much. I know of them. And like I said, my friend worked for them.
Okay.
I don't like the way they have treated their employees historically in the
Okay.
past, put it that way.
Okay.
And this merger, so MWI is a distributor. The
Okay.
distributors buy the product in bulk from the manufacturers like Zoetis. What else is out there now that I'm out of the industry? Merck. Uh,
Yeah.
MWI will purchase those, and then you order from a company like MWI. I worked for a very similar company to MWI, and MWI was our direct competitors. Even though our bosses were always having lunch with the MWI bosses, like, yeah. Yeah, they were in, like, the building having lunch with our boss all the time, but at the same time, we were competing businesses. They're all
Okay.
friends, let me tell you. Uh,
I believe it.
yep. So whenever a company absorbs another company, the big company that's purchasing the small company, usually their employees, most of their employees get to stay. The smaller company, like everybody's jobs can be in jeopardy because we can't have two of everything, right? We can't have two leadership teams. We can't have two management teams. We can't have two remote teams. You got to have one or the other. Sometimes they'll merge and they'll be like, okay, we're going to keep some people from this side and we're going to keep some people from this side. That's how it happens sometimes. And the other times it's a complete abomination. It's like, we're buying you out. See y'all. We're just basically buying our competitors out so we don't have to worry about them. And
Mm.
that's when everybody goes. Um,
Right, because
I
when you merge two companies, you're gonna have to let people go. That's just the way that it is.
It is. Yep. I remember when Patterson bought out American Hospital Incorporated. I can't remember what it was, but it was another distribution company. And all of us at our distribution company were like, oh, yes, because that means one less competition. And I remember hearing of the sheer carnage that happened on both sides with sales reps looking for jobs. And then my boss made a joke like, oh, those Patterson reps are going to come and take your guys' jobs if you don't keep your KPIs up. I'm like, that's funny, boss. Real cute. And so there's going to be casualties and job losses, which is why I don't think it's good because technicians are going to be losing their jobs, particularly remote technicians who do inside sales for this company are probably highly at risk. I don't know. We'll see how this unfolds. I think it's going to come all the way to the end. Like they're not really doing much until it's like December. I think I heard somewhere. I was looking into some reports, some articles. I didn't dive too deep into it, but I'm like, well, this is why you always need to have a backup plan. Like,
Yeah.
this is why you have to have your exit strategy.
Right.
This is why you always need to be thinking about your next move. Is
Right.
because when situations happen like this, and Jen, we've had this episode in the bucket for a couple months now,
Yeah.
and this just happened to happen right before our recording. So I'm like, this is why we're doing this.
Right.
Is because as much as you might be in the top 10% performing your job,
Oh
like
yeah, that doesn't matter
it
anymore.
it does not matter because at the end of the day, they have to do
They
what
have to
they have to
trim the
do.
fat.
Exactly. Yeah. Even if you're very lean and muscular and you do your job like a pro,
Yep.
it's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And I feel terrible because there's a lot of techs in there who are our age, Jen, who've been on the floor and they finally landed a remote position. They finally landed a sales role position, and they're like so excited because they're like, I'm still in vet med. I'm using my skills. This is great. And then, oh shit, we're being acquired. There goes my thought of job security.
Right.
I'm like, so that's why I wanted to talk about that and bring that to it, because I feel like it ties in so wonderfully into the show today of why
Yeah.
you need to do it, because we'll probably start seeing more people on LinkedIn looking for remote work, sales work, technical support work. All those guys from probably MWI and some of Covetrus too are going
Mhm.
to lose their jobs, unfortunately, because now we have two companies.
Right.
Bullshit. I'm sorry. Now we have one company. Sorry.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and it to me it just seems like it's all monopoly, which is from what I remember as a kid, they were saying that monopoly wasn't supposed to be a thing, but it totally is a thing. There's these huge, huge companies. I know Mars is one of them that owns so many different organizations and businesses and just makes money off of it. And that's a huge monopoly. And yeah, I don't know how good it is for the veterinary community. And people can say what they want to say, but
And they
I
can say
think
what they want
maybe
to say because they're
for
getting paid to say it.
right. And I was going to say maybe for business owners, maybe for company owners, maybe for money reasons, this can be a good thing for some people, but what about the little people? I mean, I don't know if VCA is big in your area, but the VCA hospitals, that's a corporate owned hospital. They are everywhere in my area, and there's so many of them. And there was just some talk recently at one of the jobs I was working at where they were talking about how expensive the VCA hospitals are getting and how a lot of the clients are really upset with how expensive the VCA hospitals are because they can't afford it. And I'm like, and how much are they paying their technicians? How much are they paying their assistants? How much are they paying their doctors if they're that expensive? Where's all that money going?
It's going into top leadership. It's not
Right,
going to the staff. We all know
right,
that.
right,
Hmm.
right. To those big corporate. And I feel like I've seen too somewhere where I've seen people even say like, "Oh, they know where that money's going. It goes to the big parties that BCA holds because there's these big parties that they hold." Um, and I know that I think you've even mentioned that before, Michelle, where they
Yeah.
spend all that money on recruiting.
40, 75 grand on a dinner in Las Vegas, but yeah, you can't afford to pay your technicians a livable wage. I saw those fucking invoices like,
Yep,
fuck you and your goddamn $40,000 party to try to impress a whale DVM that's going to bring you in 4 clinics.
right.
Hmm.
Yep.
No. Sorry,
Yeah.
I got heated.
That's what I see. And it I mean, maybe someone out there can try to convince us otherwise, but until then, I just it doesn't seem good to me.
No, it doesn't. We don't have us little technicians, we don't have the job choices that we used to have. We don't have the different
Right.
opportunities. Consumers, the pet owners, they don't have as many choices for care for their pets.
Right.
Nobody wins in these corporate mergers except for the ones who have a stake in it and they have they're going to benefit from the buyout.
Right.
Because a lot of the top leadership, when this happens, they'll get millions. They literally will have it in their contract where they get a percentage. They get 2, 4, 5, probably more than that, $1 million. And they just say, see ya, I'm out. And they move on to their next project. Meanwhile, the clinics, the DVMs, they get screwed.
Right.
They get an email saying, sorry, but the leadership, they've made their millions. They've set themselves up. They've known this was coming in advance. And what was interesting is I feel, well, actually, I know this was in works for quite some time because back in June of 2014, Covetrus laid off a mass amount of their employees, a
Mm.
mass amount. And I actually did a little TikTok on that when I first started doing TikToks. And I forgot I did it until somebody liked it. I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. And this was a year and a half ago. And one of my good clients, she's a human nurse, and she works in acquisitions, believe it or not. So I
Okay.
picked her brain about it. And she was like, well, that was um, Covetrus laying off that workforce. And they did a good, some of it was like high earners, like leadership. They let them go to make their books look good for the banks. They knew that they're going to buy out MWI for
Mm,
quite some time, and they're puffing up their books. And they chose a year and a half because it's not too close to the buy date, but it's far enough away to where the banks won't think that you're doing it just to purchase that. And again, I don't have any formal connections. That's just what a client of mine who's in the human side of it had told me. And I'm like,
okay.
yeah. So, yeah, always
Interesting.
got to watch your back.
Yeah, that's why we're doing this episode today, so that you can figure out how to keep making money, how to keep doing your job and keep doing what you love, and trying to make sure that veterinary medicine stays where the foundation came from, because it is changing, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens.
Create your parachute, everybody. Create your
Yeah.
parachute.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so we have a salute this week. It is Kate Siciliano in Massachusetts. She owns Only Paws. She offers nail trims, anal gland expressions, ear cleanings, mat removal, sanitary trims, medication administration, and drop-in visits, which are medical and routine. She put together her business while working 2 full-time jobs. It took her a year and a half of planning and exit strategy, but she states everything else fell into place as needed. In this time, she registered the business, made a fully functional website, interactive Facebook group, client portal, and it looks like she built a pretty solid client base just within that time frame. So awesome.
He,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly the way that you want to go. That's exactly how you want to do it. So congratulations, Kate. It sounds like you did it the right way. And I mean, great things take time. So, I mean, it took you a year and a half, it looks like, but you take your time, you do it right, then everything will fall into place. So, good for you.
Yes, that's the energy I'm talking about. She
Yep.
probably was very quiet about it. She probably was not loud about it. And she quietly worked behind the scenes to plan her exit strategy. I chatted with her a little bit. I don't know much about the clinic, but I know that she was like, I'm doing this. And she did it while she was still working in a clinic. And I was like, this is a perfect salute. And I told her, I was like, I know just the episode we're going to put it on because it ties in perfectly.
Right.
And did you not hear that name, Only Pause? Like, I'm obsessed with that name. I wish I
Yeah,
would
no,
pick
that's
that.
cute.
Only Pause. I'm like, oh, I wish I would pick that for my business
Oh
name. Like,
my gosh,
that's
yeah. Yep.
freaking,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
So
Um,
smart. It's so
that
cute.
one's cute. There's another girl in the group. I don't know what state she's in, but her name of her business is Just the Tip Podicures.
Oh, that's cute too.
I like that one too. Yeah, some of the names. Yeah. So yes, Kate, awesome. I hope this inspires other techs to, even if you're not there yet, to start thinking about being there, because you never know what may happen, like what happened over here at MWI or any other clinic that shuts down. So I think that she's truly an inspiration for the techs who are looking at leaving the industry. And this is, if she can do it, y'all can do it. And hopefully the rest of this episode will help.
Right, right. And that's it. We want to start this off by saying again, like, this whole episode is planning your exit strategy in a smart way, but also just always remembering, don't rush things, because good things take time. And if you rush something and you start pushing things and it's not the right time, then it's not going to work out. So you have to be patient, and you have to it's a strategy, just like we're talking about. It's very strategic, and you have to be patient. And if you want it to be successful, got to take your time a little bit. You can't push things too much or rush things too much, in my opinion.
It's like a relationship. You don't want to
Right.
rush it. Like,
Mhm.
you want to take your time, get to know
Exactly.
it
Yep.
before you marry it, before you
Yes.
abruptly leave. Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
dip your toes in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So
Exactly.
And to reiterate, we're not trying to like tell techs to leave a clinic.
Right.
It's, I feel vast majority of our listeners are technicians who are like one step foot out of everything altogether. And our goal is to help show them other pathways to keep them in the industry, because once a tech says, I'm out, like I can't deal with this anymore, like they're out. They're out. They're gone.
Well, and even,
And
once you start thinking about it, even if it's just an inkling in your head, I know that as soon as I thought about like, oh man, maybe if I want to do relief one day, and then it just never left my head. And then it was just always there reminding me like, oh, remember you want to do this? Remember that you want to do this? And then, so even if you're thinking about it, it's probably never going to leave your head.
yeah. And I'd rather have us get into their head before they think about human nursing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So that's where
Hmm.
they all go, or Costco, because they have better benefits.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's what I'm hoping we do is we give them the tools to at least keep the talent retained within our industry.
Right. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. So welcome to planning your exit strategy. Or as I told you, we call this plotting. I'm like, I love the word plotting so much better. It's just so mischievous sounding. I like that word. Yeah.
Yeah. And it looks like Michelle has made it in about 5 steps. So we have 5 steps here for you guys.
Yes. 5 easy steps. It sounds like we're like selling a program or something. In 5 easy steps, we can convince you to leave your veterinary clinic today.
If you're not happy and you're thinking about starting your own business, this is the advice that we want to give you.
So the first step, and Jen, I don't know, I feel like this may be just me. The first step would be don't tell anybody at work and keep quiet. I wouldn't tell anybody. Jen, would you tell people?
So I agree. So, did I tell people? Yes. Was it a mistake? Kind of. Yes, I think that it could have turned out a lot worse for me. I will say that it was more of me telling people and then people trying to discourage me from doing it or trying to convince me why I wouldn't want to do it. Or why would you want to do that? It sounds miserable, so all the negativity. So then it's like automatically what you're thinking, they're just going to put it down, or they're going to say it's not going to work out, or why would you want to do that? Or that sounds stupid. So that's one of the reasons why I would say don't tell anyone at work, because nobody has the same brain that you do. Nobody has the same goals as you do. Nobody has the same, like, they just don't think the way that you do. So don't follow advice from somebody whose life you wouldn't want to live.
Good.
So if you don't want to
I like that.
do what they're doing, then don't listen to them and don't let their negativity bother you. So that's one of the biggest reasons why you wouldn't want to tell anyone at work. But there's other reasons as well.
My reasoning, I wouldn't tell anybody if I still worked in a vet clinic. Snitches. I'm sorry. Snitches are everywhere. And I wouldn't trust my coworker to be like, oh, she thinks she's going to start her business. I'm jealous of her. I'm envious of her. I'm going to go snitch her out to the boss. I need to kiss the boss's ass to let them know she might be leaving because I can get brownie points with the boss. That's what I see. That's what I see could happen because they're jealous and they're envious because you have a plan, a bigger plan in your head of what you want to do with your life. Because not all of us are going to make it in a clinic at 65 years old and retire from there. So if you're already working on bigger and better things, they might snitch on you because it's going to elevate them to the boss and they could be jealous. So I don't trust snitches. So I wouldn't tell anybody for that reason. The second reason why I wouldn't tell anybody, I don't want them getting the same idea and setting up shop in my territory. I wouldn't want that. I would be really agitated if I told my coworker, hey, Susie, so yeah, I'm going to start this mobile business and I'm going to do it here where I live and the surrounding cities. And then Susie says, oh, that's a great idea. And next thing you know, she's up in here doing it and she's taking your ideas and she's rolling with it. That's happened to me, not in this way, but my work has been taken from me before. So I am very protective over what I do myself. So just from my experiences, I would not tell your coworkers because they might be like, ooh, or even if you start it and you're like, yeah, I made $55 an hour, just in 3 hours. this is great, you tell your coworkers, they're going to come right and do the same damn thing. And now you got competition in your area.
So I do have something to say about that though, Michelle, because I thought the same thing, right? Is if I have all these other people that I'm working with who see what I'm doing and they're like, "Ooh, I want to do what she's doing." And then that scares me a little bit, right? Because I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what if they take my opportunity? What if, what if they blow up and what if they get more jobs than I do?" Kind of thing like that. And yeah, because your insecurity comes in and then you're like, "Ooh, competition." And then that's where we go back to like that competition and that again. But I do want to say something that somebody spoke to me about, and they said, "But nobody's you." So somebody might try to steal your idea. They might steal your tactics. They might steal your marketing. They might steal everything about what you've built. But at the end of the day, they're still not you. They don't have your same work ethic. They don't have your same skill level. So they can pretend all they want, or they can steal your ideas, and they can maybe try to do exactly what you're doing and take your business from you, but they're still not you. So if you have the work ethic and you have the integrity and you have the skill level, and if you're working harder than anybody else, I've always thought that is at the end of the day, if somebody else is smarter than me or if they have better skill levels than I do, nobody can work as hard as I do. And nobody can show up the way that I show up. So that spoke to me a little bit, where I was like, "Oh, okay, yes, that's true. I can back up a little bit." And you can be worried about all those things, but if you work hard and you're the hardest worker in the room and you always show up, that is something that not a lot of people can do. So if you can do one thing, that's what I would say is, at the end of the day, if that's your priority, that's your baby, that's so important to you, you're gonna be successful at it. They may not be, because they took your idea. It wasn't their idea. It wasn't their goal. It wasn't their passion. It wasn't something that they maybe were meant to do. But you were. So I just wanted to put that out there as a
No, I
different
love that
perspective.
positive spin. Okay, no, that's a good positive perspective. Because that's even
I
with my
didn't
line
think
of work,
about it
it's
that
like
way.
that. Yeah, no, that's a good way to think about it though. Because I know I can. One of my faults is I'm extremely always have been. If you talk to any one of my coworkers, I'm territorial about my work. No matter what it is I'm doing, I could be a janitor and I'd still be territorial. Like, no insults to janitors because they're really hardworking, but I'm just no matter what I'm doing, I could be unclogging toilets and I'd be like, I'm the best toilet unclogger in
Yeah,
this world. So I'm kind of
exactly.
territorial. So don't take my advice all the time. So, but Jen's more positive about it. And she's right. You have the passion behind it. Like you're going to be a step ahead.
hmm But I mean, that's definitely a reason not to tell people. I agree. But people will find out eventually. I ended up blocking a lot of coworkers, people who I knew gossiped a lot, people who I knew would not be supportive of me, of this podcast, of my business, and people who were just in that negative light. I deleted off of my Facebook and I blocked them.
Good for you.
And I didn't think anything of it because it's none of their business. They don't need to know. And if they don't support it, then I don't need their negativity behind it. I don't need their thoughts behind any of what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is not for them. It's for the people that I want to help, and it's for me. So that's another piece of advice. If it, if it's something that you really don't want people to know about, block them from your social media.
Yeah. I've, I've only blocked one ex-coworker my entire life. Believe it or not. Only one. It was literally the one who stole my work. That's the only one I blocked. And I blocked her right before I became public about doing the work I was doing.
Yeah. I mean, and sometimes that's just what we have to do.
Mm. And so keep quiet. Well, you have to just keep quiet. Yep.
So
Yeah.
step 2 is we have a check your contract for non-competes or non-solicitations. So that means that if you have signed a contract that says for some reason that you cannot work independently on your own with your own business or an LLC or something like that, then first of all, don't sign one of those.
Yeah, don't.
That's not as common with technicians as it is with DVMs. But I've also seen a lot of DVMs that sign that contract and then they end up in a mess as well. I've seen a DVM who co-owned a general practice with another DVM. They bought a private practice together and it didn't work out well. And so one of them decided that the best thing for her to do was to leave, but she had no choice. She could not start her own clinic and she could not work at
Oof.
another general practice. So her only choice was to work at an emergency clinic in the area. So she did not have the freedom or the opportunities in her career to do what she truly, really wanted to do. She was forced to do something that she only had no choice because the only other choice was to keep doing what she was doing. And obviously she didn't want to do that. So that's an example right there. Again, that's a doctor. Technicians, I've not ever seen a technician that's signed one of these, but
Me.
okay,
That's why I put it in there.
so
Me.
Michelle has. So that is something that you want to think about. I think sometimes a lot of times we sign things and all we're thinking about is the opportunity at that moment, and we're not really thinking about the future and what opportunities could be holding you back just from signing this and from this opportunity. So if you have a number of opportunities that you could have in the future that you actually can't because of this one opportunity, is it really worth it at the end of the day? So I'd like to hear your experience with that, Michelle.
So I had no idea what a non-compete was until I actually worked for that distribution company. I found out that another distribution company was hiring for an outside sales rep in my area, and the pay was going to be a lot better. And I was like, oh, I'm going to apply for that. And my coworker, Wendy, I'll never forget it. She was my little cubicle buddy. And she looked at me. She's like, well, you're in a non-compete. I'm like, what's a non-compete? I'm a technician. I don't know what a non-compete is. I only worked in vet clinics my entire life. And that's when she explained it to me. And I looked back at my employee contract that I signed. And oh, yeah, it was right there. But when you get like you said, you get these opportunities, you may not read the fine print because you're so excited to get that position, to get that job. Now you can't take those valuable skills that you learned and apply them elsewhere because you signed this non compete or a non solicitation. I feel like a non solicitation would be more for like if you want to do mobile work. Because even though, and I have seen and heard of more and more technicians getting into non solicitations at clinics, more the corporate ones, not the private ones. Yep. So I've had a couple technicians report those to me, and you could easily think to yourself, well, I mean, I'm not a DBM. I'm not going to be doing it anyway. Okay, yeah, true that. We're not going to be neutering kitty cats. However, that also includes nail trims, anal glands. If the veterinary clinic has a boarding facility next to it, it could also include
Mm,
pet sitting because now you're taken away from their potential business of doing nail trims, anal glands, pet sitting, bathing. Even if you have like a groomer at the clinic, that can stop you. That non-solicitation can stop you from being a mobile vet tech. I have not been a non-solicitation, but at my very last clinic job, one of our A-plus clients offered me to, I think, walk his 4 huskies at lunch break for a really, really good amount of money. And I was like, sure, that sounds great. And I can't remember who I told, but I told one of my coworkers, Mr. Smith said I could walk his 4 huskies for $150. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm doing
sounds
it.
like a deal.
So yeah, exactly. Yeah. And my coworker, well, make sure you talk to the boss. I go to the boss, and boss is like, no, you can't do that. Doc's going to be really upset because that takes away from our boarding. And I'll never forget that. And I'm like, but it's not my contract.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, well,
Yeah, but it's
I just,
frowned upon.
it was very frowned upon. Yes, because it wasn't in my contract. And I actually ended up not doing it because, I didn't want to upset the boss.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I wound up leaving there anyway about a year
Yeah.
and a half later. That was my very last clinic, and I still have nothing but good things to say about them for the most part. But that was one of those ick moments where I was like,
Yep.
it's not my contract.
Yeah.
Literally, I can't walk them on my lunch break because it might interfere with the boarding facility
Right.
that you guys also own. And now that I'm thinking about it, I hope that they didn't take that as a learning method and say, oh, well, now we're going to add a non-solicitation into the next employee's contract. But I did. I tucked my tail between my legs. I said, okay, no problem. And just didn't do it.
The thing that irritates me the most about that is these people who are like posting on these Facebook groups and they're saying that they can barely make, you know, make their bills. They were living paycheck to paycheck. They're hardly getting by and they want to get a second job, but they talk to their boss and they've been told that they weren't allowed to, or it's frowned upon, or it would be taking away from that business. And it's like, what choices do we have then? If you sign that on your contract, like that is a red flag. Because if they're trying to limit what you can do, and if they're trying to have any say in what you're doing outside of the work hours that you're getting paid there, that that's not okay. It is
No.
not okay. It is none of their business. You are only contracted to work for them and to do what they say during the hours that you are clocked in and scheduled for.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it's none of anybody's business what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's just, it, that's what bugs me the most is we're not going to pay you enough, but we're also going to tell you that you're not allowed to start your own business somewhere else. You're not allowed to pet sit because that's going to take away from us. You're not allowed to do these other services because it's going to take away from us. You're not allowed to go work a second job so that you can pay your bills because it might take away the priority from this job. How does that make any sense?
It doesn't. It
It
only
doesn't.
benefits the person you're working for. It
Right.
benefits them and their business and their income, but it hinders yours to where you're deciding, do I pay my electric bill this week or do I eat? They don't. If they're going to force you into some, I don't want to swear anymore. I've sworn so much. If they're going to force you in anything like that, I wouldn't want to work for them. Be like, no, pay me more and I won't have to look for work outside work because who wants to go to work and then work after work?
Right.
Nobody. We
Right.
want to go home. We want to be in our pajamas. We don't want to have to go out and pet sit after work. Pay us a livable wage and we won't be looking for it.
Right. And so that's why you have the choice to be able to sign these or not sign these.
Sign them. And
Okay, Michelle,
then,
so what
yeah.
happens if you have signed one or if you end up signing one? What do you recommend?
What I would do, and I'm not a legal expert, however, I do talk to people who do have legal expertise, who I may chit chat with sometimes. You can get your contract renegotiated. There's no rules saying you can't do that. Maybe instead of getting a bonus after a year, like a raise, right? They give you the token 9-cent raise every year. Instead of doing that, why don't we negotiate out our non-competes? Why don't we negotiate out our non-solicitations? And also, too, when you're onboarding and you get that, you can negotiate those out before you even start the work. You can say, I'm not, if you want me, I'm not, you got to write that part out. So you can put yourself into that position. I personally, if it were me and it was time to renegotiate, I would ask for a tiny pay raise, something that they'll be like, oh, yeah, that's what a good deal. She's only asking for 1%. Knowing in the back of your head that you're plotting your moves, you're going to be leaving, but you're setting up that foundation. So I would ask for a cheap, very small raise to make it look more realistic. A few extra holidays. That way you can work on your business and slide in the removal of the non-compete or the non-solicitation. I feel like the non-compete would be hurtful if you're looking to do relief work. I feel like the non-solicitation would be hurtful if you're looking for mobile work. But I would, at contract renegotiation time, I would look at getting those removed and still ask for a pay raise and tell them how much you love them.
Do you think that would raise any concerns for the company though? And if
Probably.
and then if they start asking you if you have ideas to go elsewhere or if you have ideas to start your business, you, I would assume, have no reason to tell them
Yeah, you don't have to.
what's going on
No.
or why.
You could even say something like, I think they're unconstitutional. Like, my morals have changed in a year. I've read a book. I've watched a TV show. I listen to a podcast. You could say something like that to where now it no longer aligns with your moral beliefs. or you don't want to live by that code of conduct. I want to be here because I want to be here, not because I have to be here. Because if I want to be here, maybe I'll work harder versus if I have to be here, I'm just going to give you the bare minimum.
Okay.
And it creates a
That's
more organic relationship if you're not chained there. That's
okay.
how I would twist it at least.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just wanted to kind of see what the strategy for that was a little bit if they were to raise those concerns. Because a lot of times I feel like people will follow that and then and then off script that happens and they're like, well, gosh, I don't know what do I say to that? So that's good.
That's what I say, because I was not planning you asking that question either. So that came out of my head at the very last second. I'm like, ooh, what would I do?
See,
Like, and I'm
this
picturing
is
myself.
Jen's worst case scenario brain taking over again.
But it's good though, because I feel like that gave us, something to give to the listeners, because I just swirled it off the top of my head, like, this is what I would do. Because yeah, you're right. The bosses, that if it does raise concern, I would throw some sugar on it and tell them you want a more organic relationship, I've learned, or just something like that. That way they
Yeah,
don't think that you're planning on starting a business. Because at the end of the day, at one point, nothing lasts forever.
right.
Nothing. So at one
And
point,
it's not
it's,
their business. It's
yeah,
none of their business to know.
think it's anybody's business to what you do outside of work unless you're in company uniform. That's the one thing. I actually did get in trouble for road rage in company uniform. Yeah. Yeah. I did that at a gas station one time. I honked and, flipped the bird off, and then I walked in with my scrubs at and my boss was like, Michelle, you can't do that. And I agree with her. It was wrong of me to do. And I haven't done it again. And I think that should be the only time is
Yeah,
if you're in company uniform.
right.
Yep.
Okay.
Step 3, start working on your plan. Start chipping away at it. Don't have to get it done in one day. You don't have to get it done in 1 week, 1 month. You don't even have to get it done in a year.
Baby steps.
Baby steps. Yep, baby step. Vision boards, task lists, research. That's what I would do. I would just get a basic notebook like what I have here. This is where I throw all my stuff, and write stuff down when it comes to your head. That way you don't forget it later on. And just start putting the vision out there and start looking into it.
Yeah, I have about 6 different notebooks all along my desk that I'm looking at right now, and they're all yes, and they were all, like, from podcasts I started listening to, from YouTube, like, just YouTube videos I started watching, and then I think I took a mentoring class, about starting up your own business, and I invested in one. Sometimes you have to invest some of your money into into learning, into building these skills, because when you start going into this, I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't know the first thing about owning a business. I don't know enough. And then they get overwhelmed and then they think it's impossible. But what I know is that I was thinking about it, and then day by day, I just started doing research. I started reaching out to people. I started networking with people who I knew had done it successfully. Joined the vet tech unattached group, and I started doing my research on that group. Like I said, I invested in a class, and he kind of taught me a little bit of how to set up your goals for a successful business and what kind of business that you wanted. And even at that point, even if you only have, if you're like, well, I don't have enough time in the day, I only get 15 minutes to myself in the morning. That's all that you need. 15 minutes a day. You don't need 3 hours a day. You don't need 10 hours a day. The more time that you have, it would probably be more beneficial, but you really don't need all that time either, because I found that the more time I spent on it, then I'd get overwhelmed, and then I would shut down. So those little baby steps, like Michelle was saying, vision board, tasks. What is your goal? Once you reach that goal, okay, after that, what is your next goal? And then you go from there.
I like what you
And to
said, Jen.
learn.
Yeah, maybe 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day. Sit down, don't scroll, empty
Right.
room, empty head, empty thoughts, and just put it on paper
Yep.
and just start with that. And then after that 10, 15 minutes, walk out and start doom scrolling, working, whatever you have to do. But give yourself a few minutes a day to think about it
Yeah.
and research.
And I'm going to say, I think the first thing that you should do along with your vision board is write down 7 reasons why you want to start this business.
Okay. I like that. 7 reasons why you want to start it. Okay.
Yep. 7 reasons, 7, and all need to be completely different. Whether it's for yourself, whether it's for your family, whether it's for because you want to make a difference, because you want more freedom. Once you write down your whys and then you can read that every time you start to doubt, well, maybe I don't want to do this. Maybe I can't do this. Maybe I don't have the time, because you're going to doubt yourself when you start a business and you're going to think of all the reasons why you shouldn't do this. And so if you have all of those reasons why written down, you can always go back to that to remind yourself, no, this is why I'm doing this. And this is why it's important. And this is why I'm not going to give it up.
Mhm. I like that. My 7 reasons why. I think that'll help inspire if it's written there and you know it. And that's
Yep.
going to push you to keep pushing.
Yeah. Because you're going to be
Yes.
discouraged.
Yeah.
It's a given.
All right. Step
All
4.
right. So step 4. So you are going to get your clinic schedule in order. What we're recommending here is to try to get a set schedule going for yourself. Try to get the same day off each week so that way you can commit to a new adaptive schedule. And we are recommending to not request Mondays, Fridays, or the weekends. Getting a non busy day or a highly requested day off is more obtainable to the clinic. So you're at this point working with your clinic just to accommodate. So you're accommodating them so they will easily accommodate you. And then you can work around that schedule and then you can fit a schedule for your business at that point in time. And it'll make it a little bit easier for you. And and like we said, and then the clinic itself will be more willing to accommodate because they're going to be like, "Oh, hell yeah, we need you on these days, so we don't have any issues with that."
Yes, exactly. Which is why I was like, no Mondays. We all know how Mondays are. We all know how Fridays are. But if you pick a inconspicuous day, like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that's because they're non-busy days, typically for most clinics.
Yeah.
And I would pick those days that way. Again, it looks like you're doing them a favor. You're like, tell your office manager, I always stay late. I always come in early. I need one day off, and don't give them a reason why. Just, I don't care. Make up something. Lie. I mean, it's your life what you do outside of work.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So
Yeah, exactly.
I, you know, uh, do what you got to do to get that day off. Because I know, at least from the mobile standpoint of it, if you want to start building a solid clientele, it's super important that you have a good, solid schedule. And I believe thoroughly that's the only reason why I'm successful is because my schedule is so tight and it's so routine. And if you want to start gaining those clients, you're going to hit them on their days off. There's 4 Wednesdays in any given month. And if you have Wednesday off, for example, you reach out to potential clients, you start advertising, you start marketing, and you're going to get those clients who have Wednesdays off, who work from home on Wednesdays. And you're going to get them on their days off. And then you pre-book with them 4 weeks out, 8 weeks out, 2 weeks out, and you keep them on that repetitive schedule for Wednesdays because it already works for them, or else why would they sign up? Right. And then you add on more and more, and then you just keep on going. If you do everything right, you can get 4 cities in a month because there's 4 Wednesdays in a month. And you keep those owners on repeat. You pre book them, you let them know they're on the schedule, and they're going to stay on the schedule until they say otherwise or you say otherwise. That way you have constant business coming in, not just, I'm going to take Wednesday off and I hope I get some clients. No, you already got them on your schedule for the next 7 months because they're on a set schedule, and you just build and build. And then after you fill up those 4 Wednesdays, maybe you can go to your client and be like, hey, could I maybe get Thursdays off too? And then you rinse and repeat and do the same thing. That's why I think it's so important that you have one day off, is so you can build steady clientele and start working on a steady schedule that's consistent.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Think for relief work, it'd be almost the same thing, right? Like if you want to relieve a clinic, one day a week, maybe like on a long-term basis, if they have a tech out for maternity leave or something, would that also be adaptive to a clinic for relief?
Yeah. Yeah, especially like if you want, even if you just want a more consistent schedule. Um, yeah, I would say that having certain days off. I mean, sometimes when I think about relief, it's like, well, if you're already working and then you have your one day off um, and then you're working at another schedule, then you're working at another clinic. I personally don't recommend working at a clinic 7 days a week, but
Ugh,
I do think that I used a lot of my days off to strategize and to try to figure out how I was going to start building and keep a full-time relief schedule. What I did was a lot of calling and a lot of networking and reaching out to clinics that would be willing to hire me. I had talked to recruiters, I had been on Indeed, updated my resume, went on LinkedIn and finding jobs like that and just trying to get my name out there, going on Facebook ads, definitely things like that. I think it's a little bit different with yours, but at the end of the day, I was utilizing my days off to make sure that once I left and went relief, that I was going to have a consistent enough schedule with other clinics. Because that way, if the clinic that I ended up leaving wasn't going to use me for relief full time, I guess you could say, I needed to have other options.
good idea. I just wanted to put one part in there. You mentioned LinkedIn and recruiters. I know somebody personally who was looking to leave their job, and they went on their LinkedIn and started friending recruiters in the industry, or recruiters started friending them. Either way, a coworker who was already kind of like watching this person snitched to the boss, and that company got very offended that this person was looking for work, and they fired him because he was looking for work. They didn't say that, but then after this person was let go, they heard from their coworkers, well, former coworkers, that that indeed was the reason. And this person was warned beforehand, don't let the job find out that you're looking for other jobs. They take everything really personally because it's a family-owned business, and they will let you go. They will break up with you before they allow you to break up with them. And that's how they found out, was this person was, getting networked on LinkedIn through recruiters. And they're like, oh, okay, bye. So just kind of be careful on that one a little bit, just from one warning story that I can tell you is the absolute truth. Just kind of, yeah, be cautious.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that's a good idea. Networking and getting involved, and, you know, just having lunch dates with other people too, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, also the job that I worked at, like I said, I had spoken up enough about that I wanted to go relief that it wasn't a secret. You can go back to rule number one. If you're not telling anyone at work, then yeah, you are going to have to be a little bit more sneaky about it. You are going to have to, but then we also have to remember, right, that the vet med world is small.
Yeah,
The vet med world is small. So you can only keep your mouth shut for so long. You can only try to keep things quiet for so long. There are, ways that people are going to find out about things. It's it's inevitable. So you just have to make sure that you have a backup plan in some way, shape, or form. And at the end of the day, if you do get fired from a job because you were looking at other options, well, again, finding a job in the vet net world isn't hard. So you can always just find another clinic and go that same route, as long as you're getting in that income so that you can continue to work on your business in the background. But again, we always have to remember that the med world is small. I was just
very.
speaking to a coworker the other day who was literally trying to do the same thing, and then she was literally not talking to anybody. The only person she had told was me. I haven't said a word to anybody. And she's like, she messages me and she goes, "Oh, well, so and so from this clinic just messaged me and said that she knows a gal that I interviewed with. And so now this person knows. And how am I going to be able to trust that this person's not going to tell the entire clinic that I'm looking for opportunities?" And so I was like, well, you can't. Unfortunately, you can't. You can't know. You can't trust that she's not going to tell anybody. And at the end of the day, Who cares? And I told her, I said, if management does say anything to you, or if other people do say something to you, there's nothing wrong with you looking at other opportunities in your career. And that's what I would say. There's absolutely nothing wrong with me looking at other opportunities in my career. And then leave it at that. And if people are going to make you feel bad for that, then fuck them. Like, that is how I feel about it. Like, fuck them. Like, who cares? I don't care that much. I don't know if that was the best advice, but
Good advice. I mean, who's not always looking out
it's
for
like, you're
number
going to make
one,
me feel bad because I'm trying to look for other opportunities in my career. So you're not giving me the opportunities that I want.
right?
So let's talk about what opportunities you're willing to give me to keep me here. And if you don't want to have that conversation, then I have every right to continue to look for opportunities for myself. And I feel like, what can they say to that, honestly? It'll leave
I
them
don't,
speechless.
I'm speechless just thinking about it, trying to rebuttal it. I can't think of
What are
anything.
they going to say?
Good point. Which is what they should say. You're not going to give it to me.
They're
I'm going
either
to
going to
go
put
find
you
it somewhere else.
down and make you feel bad, or they're going to say, "Oh, you're right. We really want to keep you. So let's look at all the opportunities that maybe we can give to you here so that we can keep you." I don't know. That's how I see it.
Yeah. And I feel like any good mentor, boss should be proud if an employee wants to do better.
Yes.
I mean, isn't that what we all want at the end of the day, is just to do better constantly
Yes.
through our life? And if you've helped that person in some way outgrow what you have created, that might be a good thing, because that means you changed that person's life and you gave them the confidence to want to strive for more. I feel like that is really empowering in itself. And so
Yep.
it may sting a little bit, but at the same point, it's like you empower that person to want to do better.
Yeah. And we all have the right to want to do better. And we all have the right to look at every opportunity that we want to look at for ourselves as individuals. We all have that right. And nobody should make you feel bad for it. And if they do, then screw them. You don't need them anyway. That's how I see it.
I like it. That's the way I
Makes,
guys see it
it
too.
makes me sound like a bitch, but I mean, that's the truth. You don't want them in your
No.
life anyway. Whether it's your job, whether it's your boss, whether it's your sister, whether it's your brother, whether it's your uncle, I don't care.
Yeah.
Whether it's your best friend.
Boyfriend,
If
girlfriend.
they're
Yeah.
if they're putting you down for finding better opportunities out there, that's for you, then you don't need them.
Yeah. Because people who really care about you are going to want to support you
Yep.
and see you do well.
And they're going
They're
to want
not
to
going
help
to hold you
you.
down. Yes. Absolutely. So I guess, and
And if
that
they don't
also
want to
goes back.
lose you, meaning your boss or your job, then they're going to turn it around and they're going to do whatever they can to keep you. And they're going to do
Mm-hmm.
whatever they can to make sure that you want to stay there. And if they fire you because you're thinking about finding better opportunities, screw them. It's better for
Yeah.
you.
Exactly.
Just make
And
sure that you have this backup plan, which is exactly why we're talking about this.
yep, exactly. Make sure you have a backup plan. It's just,
Yeah.
again, I mean, if
Because no
if
matter how
top
careful you are, I just have to say it again, the vet med world is small.
small, it is very small. It is very, very small. And if top leadership can know about these mergers a year and a half in advance and they can start preparing themselves, why can't we do the same? Like, why is it okay for top leadership to say, oh, we're going to merge? Great. Let me start working on my buyout package and my golden parachute, and let me start preparing my bills a year and a half ahead of time because I know it's going to happen. But us techs, we're not given those same tools. Make your tools, because
Yep.
at some point, something's going to change within the dynamics of your perfect job. You're going to love it. And then something happens that's out of your control, out of your boss's control, even. And then, I mean, you might have the best boss in the world you love, but then corporate might fire them. And then you want to leave. So that's why another reason why you could have your backup plan. You just
Right.
need to keep working on it, guys. Yep. Last step number 5, save a little bit of money. It's hard when you're paycheck to paycheck. 100%. I've been there. I have been there. So that's why I think this part is so important. And a little bit a week, even if it's just $10 to $20 per paycheck, you could do that. Just put it away in a jar under your bed, out of sight, out of mind. Pretend like it's not there. Don't keep it in your checking account where you're going to spend it. Free money. Remember that whole thing that went viral last year? Free money. And we're like, oh, girl math. That's what it was, girl math. This is going to be girl mathing, except for how to save. Save any gift cards. I actually have a box of gift cards for doomsday. In case something happens, I probably have about $600 worth of gift cards for gas stations, Amazon. If clients give me gift cards for Christmas, which happens a lot, I actually save those because I'm like, what happens if I have an injury and I'm out of work for a couple weeks? Like, what happens if something happens? So I make sure that they don't expire. I make sure that there's no expiration date, and I save them for doomsday prep. Gift cards are free money. It's free money. It's not something you have to spend right now. So if you have any sort of gift cards, save those bad boys. Have been Speedway points. If there's Speedway, I think Speedway's everywhere, the gas station. I have over 120,000 Speedway points right now that I've been banking since like 2020. Ready for a doomsday. In case something happens, I think I can get $200 in those Visa vanilla gift cards if needed at this point. It's something insane like that I can get. Let me see your save. Yeah, and you want to save these gift cards for eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody gives you a $25 Amazon gift card, keep it because you can use that to buy nail trimmers for yourself. You can use that to um buy a tank of, no, you can't use it to buy a tank of gas, but you can use those Speedway points to do it. What else? You could just buy stuff for your business with these gift cards. So
Yeah.
save them. Um, that's what I would do. That's what I currently do. I save mine. Hopefully one day I won't have to use them. So yeah, save a little bit. You can donate plasma as well.
Yeah.
That, yeah, I mean, I feel like there's some stigma behind it. I have not done it, but I've known people to do it. And you can make good money donating your plasma. And you know what you do with that cash they give you? You put it in with your freaking gift cards. You
Right.
put it in the same box as your $10 per paycheck. You put it all in the same shoebox, stuff it under the bed, hide it somewhere to where you're not tempted,
Mm-hmm.
just in case. That
Right.
way, in case you do get blindsided, at least you have that.
Yeah. Some sort of savings account. Yeah, I know when I got laid off, um, I was able to take it was a big mental toll on me, but I had enough money in my savings account that I was able to take 3 months off before I had to worry about finding work again. So, I mean, even just for that alone, we can go back to the beginning of this episode when you have these random layoffs and things like that. And me and Michelle, we know that there is struggle in the veterinary industry as far as when it's just you and you're paying your bills. But I mean, there was at one point I was working 3 jobs, and a lot of that was going into savings. And because I did that, when I got that job, then I finally went down to 1 job, and then I got laid off from that job. I was able to process it. I was able to take those 3 months off that I needed to figure out what I really wanted to do. And I didn't have to stress out about the money because I was putting little bits away for a rainy day. So, either for a rainy day or whether you have a plan to start building your business with that money.
That's solid advice. And so today we were preparing for this episode because I'm like, yeah, as soon as I get off of work, me and Jen are going to record. And so I actually started researching a little bit. So I don't want to say this is a step 6, but, and these are not my ideas, but I even heard you can do stuff to plan ahead, like what Jen did, well, you didn't have to do this, but pay off debts. If you can, pay off all of your debts. If you have an HSA, you can drain that out or it's an FSA, that too. Like some of the companies will take back your FSA. So you can use that on approved products from like Amazon. Like I know I've used my husband's HSA or FSA, one of those two, to buy Midol. Like just make sure they're approved. for purchase, but you can buy a lot of over-the-counter stuff with these health savings plans. So you drain that out according to something I listened to. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. And then what else did it say? I was like, oh yeah, that'd be good for the podcast. Get your employee record from HR. Get a copy of your employee record from HR just to be on the safe side in case the company tries anything funny. It's hard to get that after you get fired or after you leave. So get that ahead of time. And I personally have done this myself. Use up your pet benefits. If it's one of those and I think every technician has done that. You're like, oh, I'm going to get ready to leave to go to this other clinic. Let me get my pet's blood work done. Let me get my pet's dentals done. Definitely get your pets caught up on everything if you have any sort of pet benefits. Use your PTO. If it's one of those companies where they don't have to pay out your PTO and they get to keep it if something happens. If you know you're going to leave, use that PTO up. That's free money. That's free time. I wish those were my ideas, but they weren't. I just heard them on the way into recording today. I was like, I'm going to throw those on at the very end.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Seems like a good idea.
At least that's what the other guy said.
Yeah. Well, you guys, that's pretty much it. They're pretty simple steps. We didn't want to go too deep. We didn't want to get too overwhelming with the exit strategy. There's definitely way more that can go into this as well. But those were our 5 basic, simple steps with if it seems like it's really overwhelming and you're working full time at a clinic and it just seems like there's really no way out, or there's just in your mind, there's no way that you can make it work. These are the 5 simple steps that you can at least get something started.
I agree. 5 little baby steps, just one day at a time, one thought, one notebook, one gift card at a time.
Yep. So we can try not to overwhelm you too much, but.
Well, I hope this helped everybody. I think it did. Yeah. And again, we're not trying to tell techs to leave a clinic, but if you already got one foot out the door, let's have them stay in the industry before they leave us for Costco or nursing, okay? Just keep an open mind. We're not trying to tell techs to leave a clinic. At some point, it's inevitable. Our bodies are going to break down. Let's just at least give them the tools to stay in the industry.
Exactly. Yep.
Yes.
That's exactly what this is. All right. So let us know what you think. Okay. And we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to Endless Journeys, the Vet Tech Odyssey podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and found some valuable insights. If you did, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave us a review and let us know what you think. You can also connect with us on all social media platforms at Endless Journeys, the Vet Tech Odyssey podcast. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep making a positive impact in the veterinary world. We need you guys. Have a great day.